Hey guys, I forgot a couple projects that I worked on last week, and these are really cute, so I want you guys to see them. So I'm giving you a part 2 of my WiP It Wednesday. So stay tuned for the 2 little hats that I worked on for the twin boys for their Thanksgiving dinner. Thanks! My daughter's already picked these up by the time you see my WiP It Wednesday video, so flashback to Robin of last week and I'll show you what I finished. These are the hats that I started crocheting for the adorable little twin boys. It's kind of cute because they're what, fraternal, identical and fraternal. So they're fraternal, and they're like different in height. One is a little bit of a runt boy that we call him. You know, he's a little bit shorter than his brother, probably by about good 6 inches at one point. I'm not sure what it is now. But it's really nice so that they can have similar hats but different. Since they're not identical, you don't feel as a parent or someone giving gifts that you have to have identical things. They're both kind of turkey hats, so it works really good for them. Now I just use my basic crocheted hat pattern. I've made hundreds of hats in the past, so I don't follow anything in particular. And when I was working out different patterns, I found different ways to make this drumstick, so this is pretty much one of my patterns. If you do a search on Ravelry, you'll find plenty of crocheted turkey hats, and I'm sure there are some knit ones too. But this is just plain. It's a regular ear flap hat that I crocheted. I do a crocheted border all around here just to finish off that edge nicely. When you're doing rows back and forth on crochet, it kind of makes a little jagged edge. So if you do a little border, single crochet all the way around it, it makes it really nice. I like to do about a 7-inch braid on it. I count every time I take this left one over, and it usually ends up somewhere around 20 of the little flip over of the braid there. I like to count this one left-hand turn. You can count all 3, but I tend to get lost with the numbers and I start daydreaming. But if I count just this one side down here, it's easy to figure out so that both of your braids are pretty close to the same length. But what's good about crochet, like, okay, so this one looks a little bit shorter. It's just shriveled up a little bit. You just give it a little tug, and it's right back there the same length as the other one. No big deal. So I think this is really adorable. I made the little ruffles on the end like you would have. There's like the little bone down there, but when you do they do that with the chickens where they put those little paper hats with the frillies on it way back in the fancy time of cooking? I think they used to do that. But either way, it kind of looks really foolish if you just have all the brown. It needs a little bit of something. So this is the front, and that's going to be adorable on, I never can remember the boys' names. Another same basic crocheted hat. I think this one turned out just a little bit bigger because I think the brown yarn might be a little bit thicker than this light tan color, even though they're both from the same manufacturer. So it's just a plain brown hat, and this time when I did the border, you can really see it. I did it in an orange just for a nice bright contrast. There are no other colors but the cream in this, and I didn't think the cream would look very good, so I just left it with the nice light brown. So I've got the dark brown and I've got the orange, and I did the same thing with the braids, but this time I took all the colors except for the brown and white. Well, I took all the colors of the feathers. I didn't use the white or the black or the dark brown, and I made the braid. And this time they just a little bit of tug and they come out the same. I just cut the ends just a little bit and let them fray up just a bit so it has more of a pom-pommy tassel look to the bottom. I don't think I've ever seen one where they don't have this little bit like down there. I'm not sure what you would do with your ends. But he's got his little waddle and his nose and his eyes. Everything is crocheted. I didn't use some of the patterns I've seen for the eyes called for buttons. I didn't do any of that. I did cobble a bunch of different patterns together, so I can't point you in the direction of just one pattern. But once again, when you Google crocheted turkey hats either on Google itself or on Ravelry, these patterns come up, and the bits and pieces that I've grabbed were from a free pattern. This was for a 0 to 3 month old child, but it works fine. These feathers, they don't have to be too big. I just put it on a bigger hat. So there's my 2 turkey hats. Back to Robin of the future.